The lonely house. The road was dark, wet, and silent. Rain poured heavily, washing the ground, turning dirt into mud. A boy walked slowly, his clothes soaked, his shoes heavy. He was young, maybe 16, but his face looked older tonight. His eyes were tired, swollen from crying. His lips trembled as he whispered to himself, again and again the same words. I lost my mother today. The night seemed to listen. The trees bent in the wind. The storm howled like it wanted to answer him. But there was no comfort, only the cold rain and the endless road. The boy's hands shook as he held his small bag close to his chest. It was all he had left. His mother's scarf was inside. He pressed it to his heart, but the scarf was wet too. Nothing was warm. Nothing was safe. Then, in the distance, he saw it. A house. It stood tall and alone at the end of the road, surrounded by black trees. Its windows glowed faintly, like tired eyes watching. The roof leaned heavy with age, and the wood looked dark, almost burned by time. But it was a house, and a house meant shelter. The boy hurried. His steps splashed in the puddles. His chest rose and fell with hope and fear. He reached the door and knocked. The sound echoed strangely as if the wood was hollow. For a long moment, nothing happened. The boy pressed his face against the door. Please. I'm scared. Let me stay one night. His voice was weak, broken. At first only the rain answered. Then, slowly, the door creaked open. A man stood inside. He was tall, thin, with pale skin and dark eyes that seemed too deep, too calm. His hair was black, but streaks of silver ran through it. He wore a long coat that touched the floor. He did not smile, but his lips curved just enough to seem welcoming. The boy took a step back. Something about the man's face made his stomach twist, but he was cold. He was alone. He had nowhere else to go. The man's voice was soft, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Stay forever. The boy blinked, confused. I only asked for one night. The man tilted his head, his eyes glimmering in the dim light. One night, forever. What difference does it make? The boy hesitated. His body shivered, not just from the rain, but from something colder, something inside the house. Yet his legs were weak. His heart ached. He had lost everything today. And here was a door open to him, offering warmth. Slowly he stepped inside. The air changed at once. The storm outside grew quiet, like it could not enter. The walls seemed to swallow the sound. The boy looked around. The house was large but empty. The floorboards creaked under his wet shoes. Old paintings hung on the walls, their colors faded, their faces blurred. The air smelled of dust, yet there was no dust on the furniture. Everything was too clean, too still, as if no one lived here. Yet everything waited for someone. The man closed the door behind him. The sound of the lock turning was louder than the storm. You must be tired, the man said. Sit. A chair waited by the fireplace. The boy walked to it almost against his will and sat down. The fire burned low, but he had not seen anyone light it. It had been waiting, like the chair, like the house itself. The man brought him a cup of tea. The boy stared at it. Steam rose in the air. He touched the cup. It was warm, comforting. But he had not seen the man pour it. He had not heard a kettle. He lifted the cup to his lips but paused. Something about the smell was strange. Sweet but too sweet. Heavy. He set it down again. The man's eyes never left him. You lost your mother today. It was not a question. The boy froze. How do you know? The man's lips curved again. Not a smile, not kind. More, like a shadow stretching. This house knows what you have lost. The boy gripped his bag tightly. He wanted to run, but his body felt heavy. His legs were stiff. He looked at the door, but it felt far away. Too far. The man moved closer, his step silent. He leaned down, his whisper colder now. Stay forever. The boy shook his head. No, only one night. Only one. The man stood tall again, his shadow long across the wall. Yes, one night. Forever. The fire flickered, and for a moment, the boy thought he saw faces in the flames. Faces pressed against the fire, mouths open, eyes wide. He blinked and the fire was normal again. His heart pounded, his hands sweated, but he stayed in the chair, unable to rise. The house groaned softly like it was breathing. The walls seemed to lean closer. The boy realized then, the house was not lonely. The house was waiting. And now, it had him. The stranger's welcome. The boy sat in the chair, the fire crackling faintly before him. His clothes dripped water onto the wooden floor. The stranger stood nearby, watching. His eyes did not blink often. His body hardly moved. It was like he was carved out of the shadows of the house itself. The boy wanted to speak, to ask questions, but the words died in his throat. Something about the man's presence made it hard to breathe, as if the air thickened the closer he came. Drink, the man said softly, his voice carrying like smoke. The boy looked at the cup of tea again. Steam curled upward, thin and white. He hesitated, then lifted it. The warmth soothed his frozen fingers, but he could not bring himself to drink. He set it back down. The man did not seem angry. Instead, he tilted his head, studying the boy the way one studies an animal caught in a trap. "Do you feel safe now?" he asked. The boy shook his head. "No, only dry. But thank you." The man's lips curved faintly. It was not a smile. It was the memory of one. "You will feel safe soon. The house always makes sure." The boy frowned. His eyes moved to the walls. Old pictures stared back at him. He saw faces of men, women, even children, all dressed in clothes from long ago. Their eyes were dark, their mouths closed, but the longer he stared, the more he felt they were watching him too. He rubbed his arms, trying to shake off the shiver crawling up his skin. "Who are they?" he whispered. The man stepped closer to the fire. The flames flickered on his pale skin. "They stayed," he said simply. The boy's chest tightened. "Stayed?" The man nodded. "They asked for one night. One night is always forever." The boy's fingers clenched the scarf inside his bag, his mother's scarf. He wanted to stand, but his legs were heavy, like the chair had roots wrapping around them. The man moved to a tall door at the end of the room. Without touching it, the door creaked open. The hallway beyond was long and narrow, lit by faint lamps on the walls. "Come," the man said. "You must see your room." The boy rose slowly. His knees wobbled, but he forced himself to follow. His wet shoes squeaked against the floor. The air in the hallway was colder, sharper. Every step he took echoed too loudly, as if the house was listening. The walls were lined with more pictures. He kept his eyes down, not wanting to look into them again. Still, he felt their stares pressing into his neck. They reached a door. The man pushed it open and the boy stepped inside. It was a bedroom. Small, simple, but strangely untouched by time. The bed was neatly made with white sheets, folded perfectly. A candle burned on the table, though no one had lit it. The air smelled faintly sweet, like flowers left too long in a closed box. The boy stood in the doorway. "This is mine?" The man's voice was steady. "Yes, it has always been yours." The boy turned sharply. "No, it can't be. I've never been here before." The man only looked at him, silent. Then he whispered, "Rest. You need it." The boy stepped inside, but he did not sit. His eyes scanned the room. There was no dust, no sign of age. The candle flame did not flicker, not even when the door closed behind him. The boy walked to the table and touched the sheets. They were warm, as if someone had just left. His heart beat faster. He turned back. The man was still at the door, his shadow stretching far across the floor. "You said, forever," the boy said. His voice cracked. What does that mean? The man leaned against the doorway. His face was calm. Too calm. It means you will never lose anything again. The boy shook his head. I don't understand. The man's eyes darkened, but his voice was gentle. You lost your mother. You are afraid. This house is for people like you. People who want to stop losing. The boy's lips trembled. He looked down at his bag, at the scarf. His throat burned with grief. But I don't want to stay here forever. The man did not move. Not yet. But the house will change your mind. The candle flickered suddenly, though no wind touched it. Shadows crawled along the walls, stretching like fingers. The boy backed away until his legs hit the bed. He sat down hard, clutching his bag. The man's voice drifted, quiet and deep. Sleep now. The house will take care of you. The boy wanted to protest, but his eyelids grew heavy. The warmth of the bed seeped into his bones. His body relaxed against his will. His vision blurred. Before sleep took him, he heard a whisper in his ear. Not the man's voice, not his mother's voice, but something else. Soft, close, like it was inside his head. Stay forever. His eyes closed. The candle burned on, steady, watching, whispers in the dark. The boy dreamed of rain, though he could no longer hear it outside. In the dream, he was walking along the road again, calling for his mother. But every time he turned, the trees whispered his name. Every time he ran, the road stretched longer. The storm never ended. When he woke, his chest was heavy. The candle on the table still burned, though he had not touched it. Its flame was steady, too steady, like it was not fire at all but a watchful eye. The room was silent, yet not empty. He felt it the moment he sat up. The air was not still. It carried something faint, like a voice just out of reach. He rubbed his eyes, thinking it was the dream clinging to him. But when he stilled, he heard it again. A whisper. At first it was too soft to understand, like wind curling under a door. But it grew clearer. The sound was not outside. It was inside the room. He held his breath, his skin prickled. Stay, it whispered. The boy spun, searching the shadows. The candlelight stretched across the walls, bending in shapes that looked too much like hands. His heart pounded. He grabbed his bag and clutched it to his chest. Again, the whisper came, this time closer. Stay with us. His throat went dry. He stood and backed toward the door, but when he touched the knob, it was ice cold. His fingers burned as if frost had bitten them. He yanked his hand away with a cry. The whisper deepened, multiplied. More voices now. Some soft like women, some harsh like men, some small like children, all saying the same thing, in different tones, weaving together like a choir. Stay, stay, stay. The boy's legs shook. He stumbled back to the bed. No, he said, voice cracking. I only wanted one night, that's all. The whispers laughed. A thin, broken laugh that made his blood freeze. He covered his ears, but the sound grew louder. Louder inside his head, not outside it. He could feel the words crawling under his skin. His eyes darted to the pictures on the wall. Earlier they were still, but now the eyes in the paintings gleamed faintly in the candlelight. He could swear one of them blinked. He staggered forward and yanked the picture down. It hit the floor with a crash. The whispering stopped. Silence. His chest rose and fell quickly. He stared at the fallen frame. The glass had cracked. Behind it, the painted face was gone. Not faded, not worn away. Gone. Only a blank space where a person had been. His lips trembled. He turned slowly. Every other painting was still there. Every face still watching. But he saw something worse now. In the last frame, near the corner of the room, the painted figure had changed. It was him. The boy's knees almost gave out. He stumbled back until his shoulders hit the wall. No, he whispered. That's not me. But the picture was clear. His own face stared back, his wet hair, his tired eyes, his bag clutched to his chest. The whisper returned, this time right behind his ear. "You already belong." He screamed and spun. No one was there, only the flickering candle. The door creaked slowly. The boy's head whipped toward it. The man stood in the doorway, tall and still. His eyes were calm, but his voice carried weight. "You shouldn't be awake," he said. The boy pointed a shaking hand at the painting. Look, that's me." The man's gaze slid to the picture. He stared a long moment. Then he smiled faintly, almost sad. "Yes," he whispered. "It has begun." The boy's mouth went dry. "What has begun?" The man stepped inside, shadows stretching around him. "The house has chosen you, it always does. It takes the broken ones, the lost ones. You asked to stay, now it makes you part of its memory." The boy shook his head violently. "No, I don't belong here, I'm leaving." He rushed to the door, but the man moved aside without blocking him. For a moment the boy felt hope. His hand reached for the knob. But when he opened the door, his hope died. The hallway stretched before him, but it was not the same hallway. The lamps flickered weakly, and the floor seemed endless. He stepped into it, and the door closed softly behind him, though he had not touched it. He ran. His shoes slapped against the wood. His breath came fast. But every door he opened, every turn he made, led him back to the same place. The room with the candle, the bed waiting, the painting of himself staring. He fell to his knees, tears burning his eyes. "Why? Why can't I leave?" The man's voice floated from nowhere, or everywhere at once. Calm, gentle, patient. "You asked for one night. The house is giving it to you. One night that never ends." The boy sobbed into his hands. Around him the whispers rose again, louder, closer, wrapping around him like chains. "Stay, stay, stay." The candle's flame stretched taller, bending into the shape of a face. It grinned at him, wide and endless. The boy's scream filled the house, but outside no one heard. The storm had stopped long ago. The lonely house stood silent, waiting for its new memory to settle in. The promise. The boy sat on the floor, his chest heaving. His throat was raw from shouting, but no sound seemed to carry beyond the walls. The whispers had faded, but the silence that followed was heavier, almost worse. It pressed against his skull, pushing into his mind like a weight he could not lift. The candle still burned on the table, steady, watchful. The painting still showed his face, though now it was slightly different. His painted self was smiling faintly, a cruel little curve that he knew was not his own. The boy's hands shook. He pressed them against his ears as if he could block the house itself. "I don't want this. I don't want to stay," he whispered to the floor. But a voice answered, low and close. "You will not stay alone." The boy jerked up. The man was there, standing in the corner. He had not heard him enter. He had not heard the door. He was simply there, as though the shadows had gathered and shaped themselves into him. The boy scrambled backward, hitting the bed frame. "Stay away from me." The man did not move closer. His eyes glowed faintly in the candlelight, but his expression was calm, almost gentle. "You are afraid," he said softly. "That is why the house found you." The boy shook his head. "I didn't want this. I just wanted one night. One night to rest. One night to stop hurting." His voice broke. "I lost everything today. I don't want to lose myself too." The man tilted his head, listening as though every word mattered. Then he stepped forward, his shadow spilling across the floor like water. "You have already lost more than most. That pain can eat you alive. The house does not take, it gives. It gives what the world has stolen." The boy's lips trembled. "What do you mean?" The man crouched slowly, bringing his face level with the boy's. His eyes were deep, dark, but not empty. They seemed endless, like the night sky without stars. "The house gives you a promise, no more loss. No more fear, no more goodbyes. Here, nothing ends. The boy's breath caught. Nothing ends? The man nodded once. Your mother is gone in the world outside, but here, you can have her voice, her face, her warmth. Forever. The boy's heart leapt painfully, his eyes filled with tears. You can bring her back? The man's lips curved faintly. The house can give you what you long for. You will see her. You will hear her. You will never be alone again. For a moment, hope broke through his fear. His mother's face flashed in his mind, the soft lines, the tired smile, the hands that always held him steady. His chest ached, with the thought of her gone. If the house could give her back even a shadow of her, was that not better than the emptiness he felt now? But another thought clawed its way in. The voices, the paintings, the endless hallway. His own face smiling from the frame. He wiped his tears roughly. If the house can give everything, then why are you here? Why didn't it let you leave? The man's face did not change. I never asked to leave. I asked to stay. The boy stared at him, horrified. You mean, you've been here all this time? The man's eyes softened, almost kind. Time does not matter here. I have always been here. I will always be here. The boy's stomach twisted. No, I don't want that. The man leaned closer, his voice almost a whisper. You already asked. You begged at the door. Please, I'm scared. Let me stay one night. The house listened. It gave you what you wanted. One night. A night that never ends. The boy pressed himself against the bed frame, trembling. That's not fair. The man's gaze held him still. The world is not fair. The house is merciful. It keeps its promise. The candle flickered. For a moment the boy saw something in the flame. A woman's silhouette. A hand reaching out. A voice. His mother's voice. Soft and loving. Son. The boy's heart shattered. Tears streamed down his face. He reached toward the flame, but it stretched away, bending like smoke. He collapsed to his knees, shaking. I want her back. Please. I want her back. The man stood, towering. Above him and laid a pale hand on his shoulder. His touch was cold but steady. Then stay, and she will never leave you again. The boy's sobs filled the room. His body leaned into the cold hand as if it were the only anchor he had left. The painting on the wall shifted once more. Now it showed not just the boy, but the boy and his mother. Her arm around him, both of them smiling. The boy gasped. He stared at the picture with wide, desperate eyes. His mother's face looked alive, more alive than memory. The man's whisper curled around him like smoke. The promise is yours. All you must do is accept it. The boy's voice broke as he whispered back, I don't know. The candle flared suddenly, its light blinding. His mother's voice filled the room again, closer this time. Stay with me, my son. The boy closed his eyes. His hands clenched the scarf inside his bag. His heart pounded between grief and terror, torn in two. The house waited. The man waited. The promise lingered like a noose around his neck. And the boy knew, whatever he chose, he would never leave this house unchanged. Escape attempt. The boy lay on the floor, clutching his bag, his body trembling from the weight of the man's words. The promise still echoed inside his mind, his mother's voice, her gentle call, so close, so alive. But another voice screamed, louder in his heart, run, leave, escape. He pushed himself up, wiping his tears with the back of his hand. His eyes darted to the door. The man was still there, silent, calm, as if he already knew the boy's thoughts. I'm leaving, the boy said. His voice shook, but his legs stood firm. I don't care what this house promised. I don't care what you say. I'm leaving now. The man tilted his head, almost curious, like someone watching a child try to lift a stone too heavy for his arms. He did not move to stop him. His lips curved into that faint knot smile. Then go. The boy blinked. He had expected chains or shadows, or the man's cold hand grabbing him back. But the man stepped aside, gesturing toward the door. Go, he repeated. The boy didn't trust it, but hope burst in his chest. He rushed to the door, yanked it open, and ran into the hallway. The lamps flickered weakly, their glow barely touching the dark wood. The air was colder here, sharp in his lungs. He ran anyway, his shoes pounding the floor. Door after door flew past him. He grabbed one and swung it open. Another hallway. He ran through it, faster, pushing his legs until they burned. He threw open another door, another hallway. His chest tightened. His breaths came fast and shallow. He opened the next, and the next, and the next. Always the same. The walls stretched on forever, folding in on themselves like the house was a maze without end. No, he whispered, stumbling. This can't be real. The whispers returned, curling through the halls. Stay, stay, stay. He pressed his hands to his ears, running faster, but the voices only grew louder inside his skull. He burst into a room and slammed the door behind him. His chest heaved as he leaned against it, sweat dripping down his face. It was the same room. The candle burned. The bed waited. The painting showed him and his mother smiling together, their eyes too bright, too wide. He fell to his knees. No, I left. I left this room. The door creaked. The man stepped in, tall and calm as ever. You cannot leave. The house keeps its promise. The boy shook his head wildly. It's a trick. All of this is a trick. He grabbed the candle and hurled it across the room. It smashed against the wall, the flame dying instantly. Darkness swallowed the room, but in the dark he saw more clearly. Faces, hundreds of them, floating in the black. Pale, thin, their mouths open in silent screams. Their eyes glowed faintly, just like the man's. The boy staggered back, his body hitting the bed. His chest heaved as he realized. They were the others. The ones in the paintings. The ones who had stayed. The man's voice came from the dark, low and steady. You can run forever, but every path returns here. The house is not a prison, it is a circle, and circles never break. The boy clenched his fists. Then I'll break it. He bolted past the man, slamming into the hallway. Again, his shoes slipped on the floor, but he didn't stop. He sprinted faster, pushing every muscle in his legs, his lungs screaming. A window. At last, at the far end of the hall, a tall window with pale light glowing behind it. He raced toward it, hope burning through his fear. He reached it, slammed his fists against the glass. Cold wind touched his skin. He saw the storm outside, the trees, the rain, the road, freedom. He grabbed a chair from the hall and hurled it at the window. The wood cracked against the glass, but the window did not break. He tried again. Harder. Harder. His arms shook from the force, but the window only rippled like water, mocking him. The man's voice rose behind him, closer now. The outside is gone. The moment you stepped inside, the door closed to the world. There is no outside for you anymore. The boy screamed, lifting the chair again, but this time the glass shifted. His reflection stared back at him, but it was not the reflection he expected. It was him, older, his skin pale, his eyes hollow and glowing faintly. His lips curved into that same knot smile the man always wore. The chair fell from his hands. His reflection raised its hand and pressed it against the other side of the glass. The boy stumbled back, shaking his head. No, that's not me. That's not me. The whispers surrounded him again, louder than ever. Stay. 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 His body collapsed against the wall. Tears streaked his face, his fist pounded the floor. I don't want this, I don't want forever. But the hall stretched endless before him, and every door waited to return him to the same room. The house groaned softly, as if amused, as if alive. And somewhere, faint but certain, his mother's voice drifted through the dark. Why run, my son? Stay with me. Stay forever. The truth, The boy crouched against the wall, his chest tight, his breath uneven. His reflection still lingered in the window, older, hollow, smiling. He could not bring himself to look at it again. Every time he blinked, he saw those glowing eyes, in his mind waiting for him to accept them. The man's footsteps echoed softly in the hall, calm, steady, unhurried. The sound of someone who knew there was no need to chase. The boy pressed his hands to his ears, but the steps crawled into his skull anyway. "You are breaking yourself," the man said, his voice low but clear. "You fight against what you already know. That is why it hurts." The boy shouted back, though his voice cracked from tears and fear. "I don't know anything. I don't want this. I never asked for this." The man's shadow stretched across the floor as he came closer. "You did ask. You begged for a night where you would not be alone. You cried to the storm, and the house heard you. It opened its door. It gave you safety. It gave you forever." The boy slammed his fists into the wall. "I didn't know what it meant." The man crouched down, his pale face inches from the boy's. His eyes glowed faintly, but his voice was gentle, almost kind. "The house always takes what is broken. That is its mercy. It saves those the world has abandoned. Your pain called to it, louder than the storm itself." The boy's chest heaved. His voice fell to a whisper. "What is this place?" The man straightened, his coat sweeping the floor. "It is not a place. It is a memory. The house is alive, but not as you understand life. It feeds on grief, on the desperate wish to undo loss. It takes those who cannot let go, and it keeps them safe. Forever." The boy's stomach twisted. "That's not safety. That's a cage." The man's lips curved faintly. "What is the world outside, if not a larger cage? Out there you lose. You suffer. You die. In here nothing leaves, nothing dies, the promise is kept." The boy shook his head violently. "No. I saw the faces, in the dark. They weren't safe. They were trapped. They were screaming." For the first time, the man's expression shifted, a flicker of something, not anger, but sorrow. He looked down, his voice lower now. "They scream because they resist. They refuse to let go of what they were. But in time the house softens them. In time they stop fighting. They become part of its memory, peaceful, eternal." The boy backed away on his hands and knees. "No. That's not peace, that's erasing them." The man's gaze rose, sharp and steady. "It is not erasure, it is becoming. The world outside forgets you the moment you are gone. But the house remembers. Forever." The boy's hands tightened around his bag. His mother's scarf was still inside, damp with rain, but carrying her scent faintly. He pressed it to his face, his heart twisting. "And my mother? You said I could see her again, that she could be here?" The man nodded slowly. "Yes. The house can give you her face, her voice, her warmth. It can weave her from your memory, from your grief. She will never leave you again." The boy looked up sharply, his eyes wet. "That's not really her. That's not my mother." The man tilted his head. "Is the difference so great? You would feel her arms. You would hear her voice. Would it matter if she was shadow or flesh? If your heart believed her real?" The boy's voice broke. "It matters to me." The man stepped closer. His shadow fell over the boy, heavy, suffocating. "Then you will suffer. You will walk the world outside, alone, always losing until nothing is left of you. Or you can stay, let the house hold you, and never feel loss again." The boy's fists clenched. He stood shakily, his legs trembling but his voice steady now. "I'd rather suffer and remember than stay here and forget who I am." The man's face stilled, unreadable. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the faint hum of the house itself, like a living breath. Then the man sighed, not angry, not defeated, sad. "You will try to leave again. You will fight, but every path returns to the house, and every fight ends the same." The boy took a step back, glaring. Then tell me the truth. What happens when I stop fighting? The man's eyes glimmered. You become the house. The boy froze. His skin crawled. The house? The man nodded. Every face in the walls, every voice in the whispers, every flicker in the flames, they were people once. They stayed. They became its memory, its blood, its bones. That is why the house never dies. Because it is built from those who could not let go. The boy's stomach turned cold. He looked at the walls, at the paintings, at the long stretch of dark wood. All of it, every board, every shadow, every echo, was alive. Alive with grief, alive with broken people who had given in. His legs shook, but he lifted his chin. Then I won't let it take me. The man's not smile returned, faint and final. The house has time. You do not. And with that, the candle in the room flared to life again. Its flame stretched tall, twisting into the shape of his mother's face. Her eyes glowed, her lips opened. My son, stay with me. The boy's heart shattered. His scream tore through the halls, but outside, the lonely house stood silent, its windows glowing faintly in the endless night. The forever stay. The boy's scream faded into the walls, swallowed like water into sand. No echo returned. The house kept every sound, every tear, every cry, and stored it deep inside itself. He staggered back from the candle, his hands shaking. His mother's face shimmered in the flame, beautiful, alive, smiling just as he remembered. For one terrible moment he wanted to reach out, to touch her, to let her pull him into the warmth she promised. But his heart screamed louder. It wasn't her. It couldn't be. His throat burned as he shouted, "You're not my mother. You're only the house." Stop using her voice. The flame flickered and her smile faltered. But her voice came again, soft, aching, almost human. Why are you fighting me, my son? I am here. I will never leave you again. His knees buckled. He clutched his bag to his chest, pressing the scarf to his face, breathing in the last faint scent of her. I'd rather hold this than lose myself in you. The flame shivered, twisting violently, then snapped out. Darkness swallowed the room. The boy gasped, blinded. The whispers rose again, louder, angry this time. 100 voices calling, pulling, demanding. Stay, stay, stay. The door creaked. The man entered, his pale face lit faintly by the glow of the hallway lamps. His eyes burned brighter now, like two coals in the dark. His voice was calm, but there was a weight to it, heavier than before. You cannot fight forever. The boy stood, trembling but firm. Then I'll fight until I can't. The man studied him for a long moment. Then he stepped closer, his shadow stretching across the walls like black water. The house does not hate you. It does not want to hurt you. It only wants to keep you. That is love. That is mercy. The boy shook his head. Love doesn't trap. Love lets go. The man's expression shifted. Faint surprise, then something like pity. He reached out his pale hand. Come to me. Stop running. Stop crying. Let the house hold you. The boy stared at the hand, then at the glowing eyes. For a second, his chest ached with the temptation. To stop hurting. To stop grieving. To have his mother's face again, even if it was a lie. But he stepped back. His voice cracked, but his words were clear. No. The man's hand lowered slowly. His not smile returned, thin and cold. Then you are already lost. The walls groaned, the floor shuddered. The house woke around them, alive, angry. Shadows poured from the corners, crawling like smoke with teeth. The whispers became screams, deafening. Faces pressed from the walls, pale and twisted, their mouths open wide. The boy ran. He burst into the hall, sprinting past the endless doors, his lungs burning, his legs shaking. He didn't know where he was going, only away. The storm roared outside the windows now, lightning flashing against the glass. He caught glimpses of the world beyond, Trees bending, rain falling, the road shining wet. Freedom. He threw himself at a window, pounding his fists until the skin tore. The glass rippled again, showing his reflection. But this time it wasn't older. It wasn't hollow. It was his mother, her hand pressed to the other side. Her lips moved soundlessly. He choked. His fists fell. Tears blurred his vision. "I can't," he whispered. "I can't let you go." The man's voice rose behind him, echoing through the hall. "Then don't. Stay. Stay forever." The boy's chest cracked open with grief. His knees hit the floor. The scarf slipped from his hands. He reached for it, but the wind inside the hall carried it away, curling into the shadows. He screamed, but the sound was swallowed. The shadows closed in. Cold hands pressed against his skin. Faces whispered into his ears. His mother's voice was the loudest, so close it hurt. "Stay with me, my son. Stay forever." He tried to resist. He tried to hold on. But the weight was too heavy. His body collapsed, his voice fading into silence. His last breath carried her name. The house grew. Still, the man stood over him, calm once more. He bent down, touching the boy's face with a cold, steady hand. His voice was a whisper, almost tender. "Now you are home." The boy's painted face appeared on the wall. At first, it showed him crying. Then slowly, the tears disappeared, replaced by a faint smile that was not his own. The candle in the room relit itself, its flame tall and steady. Outside, the storm faded. The trees stilled. The lonely house stood silent, its windows glowing faintly like tired eyes. Then came a sound. A knock at the door. Soft, hesitant. A voice whispered through the rain. "I lost my mother today. Please, I'm scared. Let me stay one night." Inside, the man turned toward the door. His lips curved into that thin, eternal smile. "Stay forever," he whispered, and the cycle began again.